Hello everybody and welcome to today's very exciting video. Today we're going to be ranking our 10 albums that we've just listened to from what I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was series 3. Is that right?
Yes, apologies. Yep. So
yeah.
This was the third series, yeah.
Okay, so without any further ado, we will go through the albums in the order that we listened to them in, and give them a ranking out of 10. If you haven't, well, if you've watched this our series before, you'll know exactly what it's about. If it's your first time, you'll soon get the hang of it. So, the first album that we listened to in this series 3, was Harry Styles. You're gonna have to do me a favor here, Brett. I haven't written down the names of the albums. Can you remember them? Harry Styles.
Well, you have written the album down for that one, because that one's actually Harry. Yeah,
yeah. Harry Styles by Harry Styles.
I see. I think I haven't got them all written down, I don't think, but I'm sure between us we'll fumble our way through the album titles.
Okay, so yeah, Harry Styles by Harry Styles, the first one. So after 3, reveal our scores, please. So 1 of 3, 2, 1, reveal. Okay, so you've gone for a 3. I have gone for I don't know if I can see that there, a 6. It's a 6. Okay, so who chose that one? That was
me. I started off, yeah.
So tell us why you've gone for 3 for that one.
Yeah, it's weird now. Reflection, I can't believe that's high as it was, because I remember the view. It was okay. It wasn't amazing. Listen to it again. I think in comparison to some of the albums, I did enjoy it all the way through. Again, there were a couple of songs. I mean, in total, there were 3 songs I would potentially put on my playlist. Also, I would put on my playlist, and probably a couple others as well. It's a hard one. I think it's just in comparison what else was there. I just generally quite enjoyed it. It was very close with another album that we'll be talking about later on. It was hard to really dislike it, but I did enjoy it. That is that style. I said, I think from my review, I spoke a lot of quite similarities to sort of Robbie Williams, which I'm also a fan of as well. So I found a lot of that in that, and I just didn't find reason to sort of dislike or not enjoy it really.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, I remember saying at the time when we did the album review that I was disappointed just because it was Harry Styles, who was from One Direction. I kind of like some of One Direction songs, so I was kind of had higher hopes. Obviously, then the style of music wasn't quite what I was expecting, and in a bad way, I would say. So when I re-listened to the album, it was actually all right until like the second half of the album, where I just really started to dislike it. I don't know what happened with those tracks towards the end, but they were like just really not my cup of tea whatsoever. So I was initially going to rank it higher, but then, like I say, towards the end of the album, or at least the second half of the album, it was just so bad that I just had to rank it lower than what I was going to initially rank it as. Which is why I've gone for a 6. I must say, I mean, there was one song on there which I thought wasn't bad. I think it's "Sign of the Times," which is quite probably his most famous song on the album, I think.
Yeah.
I don't mind that song. Probably not enough for me to want to put it onto my playlist, but that's not a bad song. So for me, it's 6.
Yeah, okay. And just to clarify again, the songs that I would have considered on my one was "Sign of the Times" as well, "Sweet Creature," and "Ever Since New York."
Okay, so you got quite a few there. So the next album was Limp Bizkit. Again, I haven't got this down, but I think it's something about a chocolate. What were you, Brett? Tell what is it?
So it was the word saying, so chocolate
something.
starfish. and the hot dog flavored water.
Yeah, so long name there. So yeah, get ready. 3, 2, 1, reveal. Okay, this time you've gone for a 6. I've gone for 8.
Oh, yeah.
So this was my album that I chose. I'll explain about it now. So this is quite unusual in the sense that there have been albums where I have given them a not very good review, and then as I've listened to them again, the album's got a bit better, and when it's come to the ranking, I've put it higher than what you would have expected based on the review that I gave it. I would say this one's the other way around. This one I gave quite a relatively decent review, but after listening to it again, I don't know why I did, because I thought it was pretty bad, this album. It was very, new metal-y, not my sort of style of music that I like. Yeah, there was some kind of rapping stuff going on in there, but when I kind of really just listened to it without focusing on each individual song, I was like, what is this? This is not the sort of stuff that I like. And at one point, I even had this down out as 10 out of 10. Sorry, 10 in 10th place, the very bottom of the list. But then as I listened to the other albums again, I was like, okay, maybe it's not as bad as some of the others. So I did put it back. I did put it up to 8th, but no, not for me, this one. I mean, there was that one song. I haven't got it in front of me. The famous song. What's it called? Just trying. Rolling. Yeah, but no, because I don't really like that song. But at least it's
My Way.
My Way. I don't recall knowing that one before, but yeah, I mean, at least with Rolling, it is the famous song, but doesn't mean I like it. So for me, yeah, I think I overrated this one in the review. Yeah, didn't like it. 8th place for me.
Yeah, this is a really tough one. And I have to say, I think doing the top 10 for these ones was quite difficult because I say it's hard because it's depending what we're basing it on. And I have to probably say, as an album, it probably should be lower. However, the songs that like I said, there were a couple of songs I quite enjoyed on that, and I actually thought they were probably one of my favorite songs in the whole series, really. But the trouble is mixing it with some of the other songs now, which are just some of the songs were just for me also unlistenable in some ways. Like that, I wanted to move on, and we had the weirdness to it as well. So it's Saving Grace was the songs that I did like from it. And I said it was a real contrast from that. But yeah, as an album, it was difficult to listen to. And that's why something like Harry Styles, if I had to listen to Harry Styles one again, I could. The thought of then having to go through the Limp Bizkit album again, even to get those couple of songs I did like, it wouldn't really be worth it. So it just makes the top half of my bottom sides of my list there. The songs that I were going to put on my playlist was My Way and the Hold On song, which was a really sort of slow, well-sung song, which wasn't expecting on the album. And I did make a special mention to the other song, The One and Take a Look Around, which were at least almost a good mixture of the both. Not enough to go on my playlist, but surprisingly, they were generally okay. But the other songs were just very skippable, shall we say.
Okay, so kind of a mixed bunch for you there. Some songs you like, some you really didn't like. Okay. So moving on to the next one, we have Danny Brown with his album. I think it's Atrocity. I've got it up here. Atrocity Exhibition.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay, so get ready. 3, 2, 1, reveal. 10 and 10.
It's funny. I was going to do a little prediction and think,
yeah.
The past two series, we've obviously gone the same on the top ones, which I don't know if that will happen in this one. Before you know what, maybe we might match at the bottom ends of the table for a change.
Yeah. So, who was it who chose this? Was it?
Yeah, this is my apology. I'll do another apology again. Listen, so when I was going to listen to it again, I thought, you know what, clean slates, let me go with Clean Ears again. Maybe it just got me a bad time, and maybe now I know that I'm not. It wasn't going to be on par with Tyler the Creator. Maybe my expectations maybe been too high. And that first song again came on, and just the memories, and just it's such a. I remember thinking back the original time listening, going, "Oh, this surely is just a character's voice. This is not going to be throughout the album." But then going, oh, I know it does appear again, and it just was such a noise, unbearable noise. However, the songs after that, they were pretty good. And I think I remember back in the review, I did praise in terms of some of the background music was good. There was some good elements with some of the other singers. But then, like with the Limp Bizkit one, there was just too much on there, which I just didn't enjoy and moved on. So I'm probably being a bit more harsh on it, put it at 10 in some regards, because it probably did have some potential. However, I haven't not taken any songs from the album. And yeah, it just still got me in a bad way. So it can take the wooden spoon honour of being bottom in my list.
Yeah, well, I'm not being harsh on it at all. It's 10th, and it's 10th for a reason. Didn't like it at all. I really didn't. I didn't like a single track on there. From what I remember, maybe one of them maybe was better than the rest. But yeah, it was the voice for me that really did it. That ridiculous sort of cartoon style voice, I just couldn't take seriously. Just everything about it. I don't know. I just didn't like the sound of it. Didn't like the voice of the rapper. For me, it was nothing to like there. And this album obviously came straight after Limp Bizkit. So as I said, Limp Bizkit, I thought, oh, this is bad. This is going to be bottom. But then I listened to this next. I was like, oh, this is worse. I think just about. And yeah, this was just a one to forget for me. I really didn't like this at all. Right,
Let's move on.
The next one then was A Taste of India. Here we had, so it was the album called Saathiya, which is from basically the soundtrack from the film, Bollywood film Saathiya. So 3, 2, 1, reveal. Oh, hello, snap.
Oh, okay, there we go.
7 for both of us. Okay, so this was my pick. Yeah, I mean, it was all right. It was just, it's hard to explain this one, really. It's like, obviously it's come quite low down in my rankings. It's in 7th. But I think we do have to bear in mind it's not the sort of music that I'm familiar with, not the sort of music I would normally listen to. But it was okay. There was a bit of variety in there. There was that one kind of what I'm calling the K-pop song. Felt like a kind of K-pop song. And then the last song as well had a bit of kind of rapping in there. It was all sorts going on, different types of songs in there. And it was just all right to listen to. But I'm not, I'm going to praise it so much, or it was okay.
Yeah, I think echoed pretty much the same things there. It's a nice introduction to listen to like sort of a Bollywood soundtrack, and yeah, that standout track, O Humdum Sonam Re, something like that. Definitely, obviously, was a standout track, and I remember obviously in my review saying when I was watching clips of the movie that it doesn't even really appear in the movie at all, which is a shame, apart from like 30 seconds at the start. But otherwise, the rest of it, it was listenable. When I finished it, did I want to listen to it all over again? Not necessarily, but if I had to listen to it again, it wouldn't be a problem. I said there were some nice elements to it, and I said at least we've talked about before, it had that mixture of like sort of modern elements and traditional elements as well, and some of it worked quite well. So yeah, it was a nice, all right album. It feels hard done by to just miss out on Limp Bizkit, but I think Limp Bizkit having the couple of other songs that I would enjoy, so it was very close between those.
Okay, so that brings us on to our 5th album, so which is Gorillaz, the album Demon Days, which I believe was released in 2008. So yeah, 3, 2, 1, reveal. Okay, so I've gone for a 3. You've gone for 5. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
This was you seem surprised.
Yeah, I think purely in basis when I originally picked it, thought, this is definitely going to be a more Brett category kind of album and enjoyable stuff, whilst not the same for yourself. So
yeah, I think I remember that at the time saying like I'm not really that looking forward to it, and then I remember saying in the album review that I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I'm not like overly praising the album by any means, but it was probably a bit better than what I was expecting. But I do think we have to bear in mind the standard of albums in this particular series, that it is pretty low. So that's obviously plays a part in why it's come as high as it has. I guess, yeah, probably the best thing to say about this is just it was okay. It was just better than most of the other albums that we listened to. Yeah, I don't know. Just looking at the tracks of the album now, there are obviously some well-known songs on there. So I think Dare featuring Shawn Ryder, I think I seem to remember.
Yeah.
Feel Good Inc. Is it?
Yeah.
So it's always nice to listen to kind of some songs that you're familiar with. Not that I'm overly keen on them, but they're all right. And I just thought in general, it was a very listenable album without being spectacular. And I did initially have this album, I think I think I had it in 3rd place pretty much the whole time. So yeah, it was all right. It wasn't too bad. It had some nice elements to it. It was, as I said, certainly very listenable, and most tracks were all right, fairly decent. So 3rd place for the Gorillaz Demon Days for me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds weird, even though mine's 5th. I do echo a lot of what you were saying there. I think for me, maybe it was just a little bit too long. I did find it was getting a bit tiring to listen to, but I think it helps, with the regular songs that to perk things back up again. And even the songs that wouldn't make my list, again, a lot of them were generally okay. It was that good element of experimental. I think, again, I remember saying from my review, normally every one of these songs would probably be an experimental song on any other album. But on this one, it was hoping, apart from that one, I think the Monkey in Heaven or Monkey in the Hell or the Mountain was like the real sort of experimental one. So, like I say, it was an okay album. A couple of songs I did take from it, but I said there were songs I knew before, so I kind of put it against it, really. So it was Feel Good Inc. and Dirty Harry would be on my playlist. So just sits bang on in the middle for me.
Yeah, can I just point out, at this moment in time, there is not a single song that has made my playlist from the albums we listened to. In fact, there's only one song that I just about decided to include on my playlist from the whole series, and even then it was kind of touch and go. That's how bad this series was for me. Okay, so the next one was Houshmand Aghili, Volume 5 of Persian Music. So I don't think this was a real album, or no, it was a album that's on Spotify. Maybe it's real, I don't know. And yeah, Persian music, so from Iran. So 3, 2, 1, reveal. Oh, hello. Both gone for 9. Okay, very good. Both gone for a 9. That's the 3rd time now we've gone for the same number for the album. So
and with the lower end as well. So yeah.
Okay, so this was my pick, wasn't it? So yeah, I mean, listening to the initial first time when we did the review, I kind of said it was okay. I think just listening back the second time, I think I just understood this really isn't the sort of thing I want to be listening to be perfectly honest. There were elements of it that were okay. I kind of like the kind of fact it was like takes you kind of back to some kind of, what's that feeling of, I don't know, of like in the East somewhere. But in reality, I didn't really like it. I obviously accept it is foreign music. a language that not familiar with, and it's from a very old album as well, I believe. I think, was it from the 80s or 70s, 80s?
Like, late 70s, early 80s.
So yeah, I mean, there's no reason why I would like this type of music. So the fact it hasn't come bottom, I think Aghili, Houshmand Aghili should be very, very proud of that. In fact, there was something worse than this. So ninth for me.
Yeah, listen, the funny thing, I was going to sort of say the same thing, say you should take a lot of credit that he didn't come bottom, and it does seem harsh he's down there, because again, I suppose it wasn't a bad album in some regards, but like you, it just wasn't my cup of tea. It just wasn't something I would have enjoyed, wouldn't want to sort of go back and listen to that straight away. But I also, like you, enjoyed some of the background music, the sound, and to have something completely different was okay. And yeah, Harsh is where it is, but I wouldn't take any tracks from it. And at least it didn't come bottom. At least it came above Danny Brown, which would have been an insult probably to him.
Okay, so moving on to the next album, we had Billie Eilish with her album called Don't Smile at Me. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, reveal. 2. We got another match. We got another match.
We should have put bets on how many matches we were going to get there.
Okay. Unbelievable. Okay, so this was your pick.
My pick, I think. Yeah. I enjoyed listening to it. There we go. I think I remember again from my review and comparing it to a bit like with Tyler in terms of, even though there wasn't really any sort of standout songs from it, again, we're going to refer to album, even though technically EP with the extra tracks as well. Really enjoyed to listen to all the way through, and so much that I know it was obviously shorter than a lot of the others, but it seemed to go really quickly. And even when it finished, it was like, oh yeah, wow, that's gone really quickly there. Some songs did grow me a little bit more as I was listening through as well. And again, I could have probably picked a number of different songs to put on a playlist there. I narrowed it down to that one main one that I would probably put on, and maybe consider putting a couple others on. But like with Tyler, I think for me, it's one that I would like to listen to the whole thing all the way through. And even though at times it was a bit drab, and it's one of those, if you're in the right situation, right mood, quite enjoyable to listen to. And yeah, I would happily listen to that again a few times if I had to.
Okay, so for me, obviously it's taken second place, but again, just to reiterate, probably the reason for that was because the standard of albums was pretty poor for me in this series, so that obviously helped it to come higher. And I didn't give it a very good review when we did it, but listening back the second time, maybe I was a little harsh on it. As I mentioned earlier, there is only one song I'm taking from all of these albums, and it is from this album. I'm going to go for Watch. So that means that the album I've chosen as number one, I'm not actually taking any songs from there on my playlist, which says something, isn't it? But yeah, it was all right. As I said, I quite like the song Watch. And I think, I'm not mistaken, wasn't it track number 9, one of the bonus tracks? It's called And Burn, but that was another version of Watch, but just a kind of different version with the rapping had in as well. Obviously, there's Ocean Eyes, which is a well-known song. It was okay. I definitely didn't mind it as much the second time when I wasn't kind of focusing on each individual song maybe so much. I could just kind of enjoy it more as an album. I think it could be a good album in certain situations when you're doing something, maybe something quite relaxing perhaps. So yeah, it's not too bad. I think it has definitely grown on me a little bit to some extent, this album, and just Billie Eilish in general. So yeah, second place for me.
Yeah, cool. So just to reiterate, so the songs I was saying, so my main favourite one from it was Bellyache in the end. But like I said, it could have been any of those, all quite similar. I spoke highly about Party Fave as well from the review, and still feel that would be on my list. And then I would consider maybe Watch, like you, or or Slash and Burn. So I did like them quite equally.
Okay, so that brings us on to our next album, which is will.i.am, hashtag willpower. So 3, 2, 1, reveal. Number 1 and number 1. We have another match. So we continue our record of having number ones, having our favorite track matching for the 3rd time running now. So,
Yeah.
Okay. This was my pick, wasn't it? So, yeah, I wasn't overly keen on it. I didn't give it a great review. I seem to remember you were quite surprised about that. But I have to say that listening back to it, this is my style of music. This is what I like. I like that kind of more kind of urban R&B kind of thing going on, mixed in with like kind of pop singing and stuff and different artists and whatnot. This is definitely my sort of music. I think I just kind of struggled to maybe find a song that I really liked, which is why I haven't included any songs onto my playlist. However, there were a number of songs on there that were very close to potentially making my playlist. Plus there's songs on there that are, well known, like This Is Love. Maybe I was considering that one onto my playlist. Scream and Shout with Britney Spears I wasn't considering, but it is still nice to hear a kind of a song, well-known song. Far Away From Home with Nicole Scherzinger was all right. Ghetto with Baby Kaylee was all right as well. There were a number of not bad songs on there. I just don't think they quite did enough for me to want to download. When I look at the album as a whole, I think this is definitely the one I most enjoyed listening to, in the sense of the whole album was quite listenable. It was a very upbeat album. The style of music that will.i.am does, it's all very, really up and at you and a lot of action kind of thing. So yeah, for me, it's not a bad album. Again, probably only really come in 1st place because of the competition wasn't very good. But yeah, this one is number 1 for me.
Yeah, listen, number 1 for me as well. It definitely was me the sort of the standout album from the list. And I think I might give it a bit more praise and say, even though we're saying the standard in this particular series wasn't that good, I would still think it would come quite high on some of my lists. I think I've really enjoyed listening to this album, more so the more I listen to it again. Unlike you, I potentially might look at putting 5 songs onto my playlist from this one. Again, it could have been probably more from that. Maybe if I had to really think, okay, which ones did I really enjoy the most? It'd be hard to say. But I say as an album as a whole, and even though there's probably a lot of negatives, very long, probably sometimes too much going on, little things like that. But for me, actually, it worked all quite well. And yeah, my 5 that I would big feel liked was Good Morning, which is still my song I like to wake up to even to this day now. This Is Love, The World Is Crazy, of course, quite good there. Mona Lisa Smile, and the Ghetto song. And again, just that bunch of songs there, all sort of very different as well. And even the songs that haven't made that particular list, I would still happily listen to. And it would be, if it was back in the day, I would definitely be an album I'd probably consider buying.
Okay, but you do sometimes buy albums anyway.
I do, yes. I knew you were going to say that as well. And if I was thinking about it, I probably could. But I think it's one of those, I'm more than happy just to go on YouTube or Amazon Music, just random songs from there and just listen to those, than necessarily having to buy the album itself. But yeah, well done, will.i.am, hashtag willpower album.
Okay. So we move on. We have 2 albums left. So the next one was Kings of Leon, When You See Yourself. So is this the one that was a brand new album at the time? Yeah, it's the brand new one.
Yeah,
At least in March.
it was that
Yeah.
brand new. Even now, it's still probably brand new.
Yeah. So 3, 2, 1, reveal. Hello, hello. 4
Oh.
for me as well. Yeah, both hit a 4. Okay, interesting. So, yeah, why have you gone for 4?
Again, as you've been saying a lot, it's in comparison to what we've got on our list already. Again, I don't think there's much more I can say back from the review. Even listen to it again, I think it could have been perceived quite negative in some ways, where I said a bit boring, just a nice album. I think the term actually used was very vanilla, and I still stand by that. However, I'm also someone who quite enjoys a vanilla flavour ice cream now and then anyway. So, again, without using the M words nice too often, it was just a nice album. Again, listening through, enjoyed it, listened all the way through, didn't feel I had to skip tracks. And again, I think in the right frame of mind, right mood, it's something, you know, sit down and listen to from there. Very not offensive. Yeah, I don't think I can really say more than that. Originally, I thought it might be the real sort of middle table song for me, just middle of the road. It was a very average album in all senses. And even though there was one potential song I would consider on my playlist, they're all pretty much the same. I think it's done well to come up fourth, really.
Okay. For me, what I do is normally, before I re-listen to the albums, I rank them initially, and then I listen to them again, and I end up then usually changing my order of certain songs, like albums. I might realize that actually I like one album more than another and move it up in the rankings, or realize I don't like it as much as I thought I did and move it down. So initially, I had this album at number 1. This was going to be my number 1 album until I listened to it again yesterday. Because I remember at the time, I think we both kind of agreed it was kind of a quite just average, bit boring, but I think for me, because of I didn't really like these albums, most of them anyway, that was probably enough to get it into first place. But then as I listened back to it again, I was like, is this really going to be first place for me? Is it really the best album? And I started thinking back to like will.i.am and the other albums like Billie Eilish. And I even ended up putting Gorillaz above it as well. I was like, no, I think no, I kept knocking it down. I ended up putting it down back into 4th place, which I think is a fair reflection, because it was all right, but that's pretty much all it was. There's no standout song there for me whatsoever. There was no terrible song on there. It was just a bit marish, shall we say, but all, you know, listenable. Not really much more to say really about it, to be honest. 4th place.
Yeah, okay. And just again, clarify, because if I said it, the song I was thinking of was Golden Restless, which I thought would be more ideal as a song actually released rather than the ones that were the release songs. Then again, they were all quite similar, so maybe they could have just easily just picked out of the hat which one they wanted to release.
Okay, so that brings us on to the last album, which is Kollegah, the album Bossaura.
Bossaura.
So, yeah, 3, 2, 1, reveal. Okay, so I've gone for a 5. You've gone for 8. So this was my album. So I've actually only just finished listening to it just before we started this ranking video today. It's a long album, too long for me. I seem to remember talking about that during the review. Dragged on for me for too long. You know how I was talking about talking earlier about how will.i.am is my sort of music. It's kind of that sort of urban sort of style with the kind of pop singing, poppiness in there. This is kind of like that to a degree, but not quite as much, I would say. There's a word you often use for like rap music. Dark, I think is the word, isn't it, or something? Is that the words I say? It's a bit, yeah, it's kind of like that, but
Yeah.
darker, shall we say. There's a lot more drug talk and stuff like that going on. Plus the fact it's in a foreign language, German, so I don't really understand much. Although I do like the fact they do kind of throw in all these kind of words like people's names, like famous people's names and stuff, and English words that I do understand. So yeah, middle of the road for me, this particular album. Elements of it I did like. There was a song, I think towards the beginning, Spotlight, where it had the woman singing and then the rap, they got the guy doing the rapping. I kind of quite like that to an extent. So yeah, some of the songs were all right. It just dragged on a little bit too long and a little bit too druggy for me. Rapping about drugs and stuff is not really my sort of thing. So 5th place for me.
Yeah, again, we have a lot of stuff there. The songs, yeah, Spotlight. I kind of like. My real favorite, I think, was Das Light, which I think was like the last track on the album.
All right, yeah.
It's really good. Maybe because by the time I got that, I was like, it could have probably played a Danny Brown song. I probably would have put down the list. Probably would have enjoyed it by that point. Yeah, for me, just a little bit too long. And like I said, I did enjoy it. There was still game elements of it I did enjoy. Some tunes were okay. As you said, throwing a bit of English helps with there as well. And even though I couldn't understand a lot of it, you could still feel, and I'll use your terms well, the sort of the darkness from it as well, which again, it's not my normal sort of thing I'm sort of really into from there really. But I think basically I think it's the length of the album with a lot of the tracks being very, very similar. And again, maybe if this was an album earlier on in the thing, maybe it may have been a bit higher. But I think again at that point, yeah, it was just a bit too much. But like I said, there was still some potential I would have taken from it, so it's done well in those regards.
Okay, so yeah, that concludes our Series 3 album review, album ranking. Sorry. So if you agree with our choices, let us know in the comment section below. If you're dismayed that we've put one of your favorite albums so low, let us know. Tell us how silly we are. No, but at the end of the day, as we all know, music, dependent on people's own tastes and stuff. So there's no right or wrong here. But yeah, that's the end of today's video. We do have something new coming to you, hopefully, as long as it's not copyrighted. It gets blocked, but we'll let you know about that when those videos come out. And even our next review is going to be a bit different as well. You'll find out about that next week, next Sunday. So yeah, thanks for watching and take care.